Namaskaram. So, day 20 of the SaveSoil journey. Last few days we have been exploring how we can become more conscious, and I hope you have been able to experiment with this and see if this helps you, because that's the first step towards making a conscious planet, to become a little more conscious about what we are doing and about our actions and what's happening within us. So, hope that has helped you. Today, I just thought we will explore something which I keep hearing from different sources, that is it really necessary to make such a big noise about all of this? Is it really necessary, to create so much of in terms of what's happening right now? You see, whether you open anything, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or whatever social media you open, or WhatsApp, you will just see that it's hard to come it's hard to see that there's anything anywhere. Whichever channel you choose, you'll see that there'll be something about Save Soil, some one of your friends. Even if you're not at all connected with what Isha is doing or what Sadhguru is doing, you will see something or the other you will come across. That's the kind of impact which is having, because almost everybody is seeing how to continuously share about soil in whatever ways possible. So you cannot escape that. So for a lot of people, this is something they are also getting a little put off with, because they may be thinking that why so much noise. What is the need for creating so much so much publicity or so much awareness about what's happening, and why don't we do the work silently? Why isn't that instead of doing so much, such a big exercise in terms of what's happening right now, why not just see if we can work individually and do things, and also maybe just let the impact be visible in terms of what has happened on the ground. So a lot of people have this question. So I just thought that I'll share something which has been my experience, and maybe this is something which is related to this itself, because what I have observed is, and this is something you can also notice, that most of us, we are distracted to such an extent, to such a point, that we simply can't notice anything. It's definitely not possible for us just to sit up and take notice, unless something is really in the face, or if it's really something which is glaring at you from all angles. Most of us will miss anything. You may even see that a huge butterfly may just come and sit in front of you, and you may still miss it, because that's how it is. Most of us, the attention span and the way we are distracted, lost in our own thoughts and emotions, that we hardly notice anything. You may have noticed a lot of us that unless something comes to a point where you don't have a choice, only then you will do it. Otherwise you will keep on going on with whatever you are doing, and there's hardly any chance for you to even think about something else which is happening on the outside of you. So this is one of the reasons why something like this has been neglected for such a long time, because we are so lost with whatever we are doing within ourselves. We are so much lost in our own world that we hardly notice what's happening outside of us. So forget about soil, and there's so many things which is happening about outside of us. We don't really notice it at all, because we are so lost within ourselves. So if it was so, the case was so that if we were like that we were so aware, then all these things would not be needed. Such a movement would not have been needed if we had just one simple line, or maybe if just a simple video, if we had just brought to people's notice that, see, this is what is happening and we need to do this. If everybody had taken action with just one little step, then all these things definitely would not be needed. But the way things are right now, the way people are right now, that unless something is drilled into people for a long period of time, they just tend to ignore it. They don't even notice. So that's how it is. So what I have seen in our programs also, initially what I thought is that let's say if I am just doing a program, let's say if I am doing the AHAR program, so actually I would start even before that, even leave alone a program. So just a few years before, we started something which we wanted to make people more aware of about Ekadashi. So I remember that about 3-4 years before, hardly many I hardly came across many people who were fasting on Ekadashis. They were not at all fasting on Ekadashis, though they knew about Ekadashi, but it was not something which they were taking up. Maybe a few people knew about it and they were thinking, yeah, it's good, but yeah, I haven't attempted this, or there was no real inclination to kind of attempt it. So I just thought that, because this is something which helped me a lot, fasting on Ekadashi. So I thought, let me see if I can make people more aware of this. So initially, I just started posting about, when Ekadashi is happening. Okay, tomorrow is Ekadashi. Just a simple post like that. Maybe just one post. So what I noticed is when I just posted like this, let's say tomorrow is Ekadashi, very few people, they just saw the post and they started fasting. Just a handful of people were like that, who just saw one post, what is Ekadashi and the benefits of Ekadashi, and they started fasting. So then what I did is I tried to see if we can drum it up a little bit. So what started happening is then I started posting more reminders about Ekadashi. Just 2 days, just one day before, there were at least 3-4 reminders in different ways. Maybe how to break the fast, or what to eat if you cannot manage with just water, and can we have neem and turmeric, or what to do if your parents are not willing to allow you to fast, etc. We started creating more content so that at least 3-4 reminders come before the day of Ekadashi and you cannot miss it. We saw that because of this, a lot more people started taking up fasting on Ekadashi. Then we also started doing, drumming it up a little more by saying that, after Ekadashi, on the Ekadashi day itself, people who are fasting, we started posting their sharings, how their experience was. So maybe 4 sharings we used to get on Ekadashi, we'll curate it and we'll post it. That again kind of increased the number of people because they saw people sharing, talking about it. So what happened is we created a kind of buzz around Ekadashi that people couldn't miss it. Even if you're the most distracted, you just couldn't miss, because on let's say if Ekadashi is nearing, you will see at least 4-5 posts about Ekadashi, bombarding you on WhatsApp or on other social media, and you'll suddenly, whether you want to do it or not, but at least you will know that okay, tomorrow is Ekadashi. That much you cannot miss. So this is how the reality is actually. If I just think that if I just post one nice post about Ekadashi and say this is how Ekadashi is and please fast, you will see most people will just miss it. So we need these constant reminders, and we try to create content in so many different ways just for people to notice and sit up and take notice that, see, this is something which they need to do. We need to create examples of people who have been doing that, sharing their experiences. So many things we need to do just to move people a little bit, just to do something like which is good for them, which is fasting. They're not doing it for me or for anyone else, they're doing for their own good, but for even this we need to do so much. So you imagine this is how it is, and what could be the kind of action which is needed if such a movement like SaveSoil has to take place. Imagine this. Will it just happen if if you just release a video about what is needed for the soil, and do you think everybody will just jump into action like that and just do whatever is needed? If it was like this, then all these things were not needed at all. Definitely it's not needed. It would be an overkill. Speaking about soil for 100 days, wherever you open it's just soil all the time. It's definitely, it wouldn't be needed. But this is how it is, unfortunately, the way we are, that unless it is drummed up in a way, and the more important the matter, the more it requires more constantly kind of in different ways, so that doesn't matter who you are, what you are doing, how busy you are, you just can't miss it. So this is how it is. So for a person like Sadhguru who's enlightened, I just thought that why does he need to do so much? Why does he need to create so many videos and talk so much? Why doesn't he just sit in one place and just people will anyway come to him? But unfortunately this is not what is happening. Even if it is something for their own well-being, even if they know that yoga is something for their well-being, still they will ignore it and they will just sit and do whatever they are doing, unless it becomes really apparent to them that this is what they need. So though people may know it, that this is what we need to do, but the distance between knowing and action is a big gap now in this world nowadays. And unless we do something to bridge that gap, to make people, to push people into action, you will see that it will be just something which is lying around. It will be just like an ideology. There will be nothing which will be implemented. So if you just, even when I started teaching, I just thought that maybe I'll just, one post. If I'm doing a program, let's say next week, I'll just post once saying I'm doing a program next week. If you're interested, please attend. I tried this also. So I just tried, just making one post about my program, and I noticed that, hardly any people turned up. Then I realized that it doesn't work like that. We have to do whatever is needed in the world right now. And though we know that the program is very powerful, everybody knows, but still we need to help them to take action, whether it's for their own well-being. So then I started seeing how to create more content around it. You will see whenever we have programs closer to the date, we try to post more about the program, maybe 3-4 posts about the program. And that is something which kind of creates a buzz around it so that people don't miss it. So it's not that I like to do it. I would have just preferred that if I just post once that this is when the program is happening, people should just come if they're interested. But unfortunately it doesn't happen like that. So we have to do whatever is needed. I just tried both these things. I tried seeing if I can just post something and silently wait and see if people can come. And I also tried the other approach where constantly support people with more and more ways or more and more reasons why they need this. And I saw that the latter worked in a very different way. Otherwise I would just left teaching myself. So I don't want to waste my time doing something which doesn't work. And the same with this movement as well. If it is something which is needed for people to take action, right now it's not just people taking action, it's the whole government machinery which needs to move to take action. So if action is needed at a large scale, where all the countries involved, they should come together and notice and take action, we need to drum it up in a huge way. So that is why all this is needed. And whether it's that's why Sadhguru is chosen to do something so extreme, which is riding on a bike for 100 days non-stop. Because people just, if nothing else, not for the soil, at least they'll see, oh, what's happening, why is this person doing so much, what is it about. So they just, doesn't matter whatever their situation is, how distracted it is, how distracted they are, but they just can't miss it. So unfortunately we need to do these things, whatever is needed, just for people to sit up and notice and just take some action. So please look at it in that light. It's not because you want to hog the limelight or the press or this or that you are that someone is doing this. It's just this because right now that is how people are. I even remember a poem which Sadhguru had written about this, that I'll even share this in the comments. That if there is something which is worthwhile for you, then shout at the top of your voice and speak, because the way people are, they're so distracted beyond words that if you don't do that, they'll just miss your voice. So if there's something worthwhile which you feel, which is good for you and for others, if it's needed, see whatever you can do to make sure the world knows that this is something which is important. So please see in whichever way you can support. And you need not ride a bike for 100 days. You just need to sit in front of your mobile or your system, which you're anyway doing, and just share a few things. That itself will make a big difference. So please see how you can contribute. Namaskaram.